Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Get Super with me, the one and only Joshy G. And today, I have a very special guest with me, the one and only Jeff May. He's going to be working out with me.
What?
Jeff, that's right.
Hello?
Yeah, we are.
Oh,
I tricked you. We're not doing a podcast. We're not you're working out with us, buddy.
I've been bamboozled.
Yep.
I was told I could talk about Batman. No,
Nope.
yeah, I'm so excited to do the show. I'm so excited to show all my weaknesses to the crowd.
Well, before we get into that, we'll do a little bit of interview, a little Q&A. All right. You're usually the one interviewing. Now it's going to be me interviewing you, my friend. So
that's the weird part. The thing that I'm like, I don't know if like not hosting, but being the guest is going to be very interesting. And I'm really excited about that. Let you do all the heavy lifting.
We spare no expense here at Sideshow. That's why we brought in the big gun, Jeff May. And of course, we have Paul, the one and only Paul, moderating.
Hello, everyone.
Throughout the show, if you have any questions about the workout or that if you have any questions for Jeff or myself, we can hopefully answer them. Paul, how are you doing, my friend?
Good. I'm doing better than Jeff's about to be in about 15, 20 minutes. I heard this episode's all burpees. Is that what it is?
That's it almost was.
I will send a letter to Sideshow to get you fired if you make me do burpees the whole time.
It was almost all burpees. I'm not going to lie. But I want to ask Paul a quick question. How does it feel, buddy, to be the ones that you and we broke the internet yesterday with the big Sideshow Con announcement?
We did. Yeah. I mean, we were both, vain enough to say that Matza did all the heavy lifting here. And, but yeah, we, as in the words of Joshy G, the con is on and we're just ramping up towards it. And this is just, before we get all that con food going, we got to get super first.
That's right. Exactly. And before we get started, I just wanted to make an announcement that this is the Get Super Season 1 season finale. Who knew? Season finale. But thanks to everyone who showed up and all the guests that took part in our live show. I'm talking about Nate Moore, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, Cesaro, Sheamus, just to name a few. It was so well received, and we're going to be coming back for a second season sometime after Sideshow Con. So you're going to get Sideshow Con, and then you're going to come back, and you're going to get a new and improved, bigger, better, way more super version of Get Super with Joshy G. So you're going to enjoy that when we return after Sideshow Con. And in today's season finale, I'm going to congratulate the winner of the Hulkbuster Workout Challenge. Jeff May, I don't know if you know this or did this, but Jen and I, we put together a workout specifically around the Hulkbuster 6 scale by Hot Toys, and we threw it out into the internet. And so many people did this workout. They entered to win this contest, and lo and behold, we have a winner. Would you like to know who that winner is?
First, I would like to say that 75 jumping jacks is way more jumping jacks than anybody should have to do at one time.
Not just at the beginning,
but
at the end.
I know.
End.
Oh no, I did the workout. It was brutal. But please, by all means, I would love to know who the winner is so I can steal it from them.
Okay, well, the winner of the workout challenge was a Mr. Steve Tam. So Steve Tam, congratulations.
Congrats, Steve.
Yeah, Steve.
You beat probably Jeff and Paul in their time as well as entering in the contest. So you win that really cool Hulkbuster 6 scale. Thank you for all who entered. And remember that there may be some more challenges like this in the future. So don't be shy. Definitely give these workouts a try. All right. And now let's get into the meat and potatoes, if you will, of our show. Let's talk to the one and only Jeff May, Mr. Comedian Extraordinaire, Sideshow host. What other hats do you wear besides your cool Boston-inspired Jeff May hat?
My official Jeff May merch. Well, I'm a retired teacher. I retired when I was 30 because they let you do that. Because I was like, oh, I should probably follow my dreams instead of just telling other people to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm originally from Boston, and then I moved out here to do stand-up, and then stand-up is a nightmare. So one of the things I did was I got into podcasting about 7 years ago, and that's really been sort of where I've cultivated my sort of fan base. I don't know. It's weird. There's a weird vanity in saying that word.
Yeah.
But I'm a big comics guy. I perform at conventions a lot. I host a lot of panels. I mean, it's the stuff that you could pretty much assume that somebody who has a podcast through Sideshow would do.
Uh-huh. Now, are you, were there a particular podcast that you enjoyed before you started your own, or were podcasts? It sounds like 7 years ago wasn't that long ago, but I'm just not, I don't remember, but were podcasts as big as they are now 7 years ago?
No, podcasts were sort of a blip on the radar back in 2013. They were there, and you had your famous ones, you had your big ones, you had your Marin and stuff like that. But things really sort of started snowballing. And so the first podcast that I was ever on was on a website called Cracked, which was a very popular. Yeah.
Like the magazine.
Yes, the magazine, which became the website. And it was on Cracked, which I was actually a fan of. I was a fan of the Cracked websites before. And then I sort of, when I moved out here, sort of befriended a very talented writer and comedian, Adam Todd Brown. And he was like, hey, I'm doing a podcast. I would like you to be one of my first guests.
Oh, okay. All right.
And we fell in. And then I just do that now all the time.
Were you a fan of the Cracked magazine I think I have that same Tumblr, but that's beside the point. That same Spider-Man.
Oh, this right here.
Nerds. Were you a fan of like those type of magazines, like Max, Mad, Cracked? Like,
oh yeah, I was a big Mad Magazine fan. Big fan of like Al Jaffe, and
I was about to say Al Jaffe. Yeah,
huge. And then Sergio Aragones did a lot with them as well. I loved Cracked. And I really loved Mad Magazine. I think we all sort of really fell in love with that when we were kids. And I remember, getting them as gifts and all the references and understanding them. And I think it made people a lot sharper. I think it made kids a lot smarter
and funnier. At least I like to think so, especially with the two artists that we discussed, or the fold in, or just the different parodies of the different movies that were in and around. I was a huge Mad Magazine fan. Were there any other things growing up that, whether it be TV, movies,
I think you
inspired you for your comedy?
I think you could probably guess by looking behind me. This is not a Zoom background. This is an actual. This is my library.
Matzo ball approved.
Yeah, I was a big comics kid growing up. So like, I loved like Wizard magazine. I used to read that, cover to cover. I loved cartoons. It's very much. I suffer from this fantastic form of arrested development where I've learned to make a career out of just liking things and then reacting to them accordingly. And that's sort of where I've gone through there. And I really consumed, like I was obsessed with Art Adams and his run on the X-Men. That to me was like the absolute peak of comics.
I think Nate Moore, and correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, didn't he say something very similar to that? Nate Moore, big time Marvel producer.
I watched the episode.
Oh,
he did. Yeah. So very, very similar. And it seems it's a pattern where it's like you have a very particular journey in the comics. And if you love it, it kind of sticks with you, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So we went down comics, we went down some magazines. What about TV shows? TV shows that inspired you maybe to get into comedy, i.e. Saturday Night Live.
I liked Seinfeld growing up, and I mean The Simpsons is sort of that god tier love form of entertainment as well. But I mean, I wouldn't say there was anything that I watched a lot of stand-up comedy when I was a kid, which I probably shouldn't have done. Like I consumed a lot of stand-up that was much more adult than I should have, and I always wanted to do comedy, but I got started teaching at such a young age. Because I got my job like about 3 weeks out of college graduation through an interesting form of a job opening up in my hometown. But once I had just turned 22, and I was like, okay, well, if I try stand up and I say the wrong thing and there's a parent there, I'll get fired. Like I was afraid to move into stand-up. I was afraid to follow my dream because I had been given a career that paid relatively well. And so I just decided to kind of like after a decade of teaching, I was just like, I got to go for it.
It's so funny. I remember I was back home in Vegas for a couple of months, and we were having like a discussion around the table, and I was like, "Hey, Mom and Dad, do you remember the time I had a third grade teacher that I think her name was Mrs. Gilmore, and we had like a career day, like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I was so obsessed with Saturday Night Live and stand-up comedy at the time. I was like, oh my God, I want to be a stand-up comedian. And this lovely lady called in my family to have a parent-teacher conference because she was so worried that I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And I remember my mom and dad sticking up for me. They were like, do you know how much these stand-up comics make? Like, why are you telling this kid not to be a stand-up comic? Like, what's wrong with you?
As a stand-up comic, I would be very trepidatious about telling other people to get into it because it is a brutal life. It's,
I'm sure it is, but as like a third grader who's watching, like, you know, Dana Carvey, who at the time I think was, you know, one of the guys that I like idolized, you know, because I love Saturday Night Live, love Wayne's World and all that stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Sit there and say like, oh, this kid can't be a stand-up comic.
It's funny that you mentioned that too, because one of the things that is interesting about stand-up and getting into stand-up, especially out here in Los Angeles, is I've actually worked with a lot of people who were heroes to me growing up, or people that I idolized. I've been on shows with Dana Carvey. I've done shows with Mark Maron. I've had friends move on to being cast members on Saturday Night Live. And it's fascinating to see that pattern go through. Stand-up comedy doesn't pay well. I would never tell a third grader not to get into it. But sometimes I'll meet people in their 30s that are like, I'm thinking about trying it. I'm like, are you ready to suffer for a long time?
It's almost very similar to when I hear people ask Seth or Becky, like, hey, I want to be a professional wrestler. Like, you know, I'm 30 years old. Like, what do I got to do? And they're like, well, it's going to be a tough road for you, bud. You know,
yeah.
And,
not everybody gets to be DDP.
Yeah.
But exactly. Gets to break when they're 35.
Well, that's the thing. People think that whether it's a stand-up comic, a Marvel producer, you know, movie producer, I should say, and or a wrestler, like they think that, you know, fame and glory come just like that, and it's a lot of hard work, you know.
I knew going in because I was tempered entering, and I knew what I was leaving behind me. Even when my students were like, "Oh, are you going to be on TV?" I was like, "Not for maybe 5 or 10 years." Like I you know, because kids, I don't think they understand the path to it and how hard it is to get on TV, and you know how many of the tumblers on the lock need to fall into place for it to unlock.
I always tell people that I've Mr. Magoo'd my way into the situations that I'm in today, in the sense that, like, you know, I've got to work on cool movies as a, you know, whether it be a production assistant, writer's assistant, director's assistant, you know, some form of movie or TV production job, to, you know, working with the wrestlers, or working in functional fitness, to now working at Sideshow. Like, it all just kind of happened, and there was no set plan. You know what I mean? I
think what happens is we set ourselves a path. Mm-hmm. And then we present ourselves to the people in our lives as authentically as we can. And then when people find that you're going to fit into these things, they do. And that's happened to me because I've also worked on several shows and as like a PA and things like that. And then, you know, you make these connections through there. Like, one of the people on one of the shows that I worked on that I got along with the most was Anthony Bourdain. And I wasn't even supposed to know him. I wasn't supposed to talk to him, except he used to hear the conversations about comedy, comic books, and fighting, because I was also a boxer. And he used to jump in because those are his 3 passions.
Yeah.
And so he used to keep jumping into these conversations. And I was like, I don't know what you want me to do. I can't tell him to go away.
Don't give him in the eyes. You're like,
But he ended up sort of having this very favorable sort of outlook on this random PA, just because I was authentic at work.
Yeah.
It's just tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to be authentic sometimes.
Well, especially in a job like a production assistant, where you're pretty much, you know, having to do every, you have to do every kind of job, and you're not getting paid very, very well. But I always kind of looked at it as like, you know, the movies that I was privileged enough to work on. I was like, oh my God, I'm working on this movie. I'm working on like that. There's that actor. I'm like, within an arm's length, in the sense like it made me feel proud of where I came from. And I never really looked at it as a job. Were there days that they were tough and you're like, oh man, this sucks? Yeah, of course, 100%. But I tried my best to have a positive outlook on whatever movie that I was working on.
I think that's key.
Yeah, and I think that those branch off, opportunities for you in the future, that people see like, oh, you are a hard worker. Oh, that you just didn't, treat this as a job, or vice versa. You didn't fanboy out when you saw X, Y, and Z. Like, you are, reliable. We could use you again.
I think confident humility is important if you want to get into entertainment. Mm-hmm. You should know what you're capable of, but you shouldn't be braggy about it. You can recognize the truth without bragging about it.
Yeah.
And I think that, especially for me coming up, because I came off as being a teacher, and which meant that I was in charge of 30 people at a time. I was the center of attention. I was the one adult. I was like the boss of 30 kids at a time. I wore a suit and tie every day to work. To then go and do this shift where I'm now getting coffee for people, you have to be humble and accept that, all right, I'm starting back and I'm growing. And in my 20s, I didn't really have an opportunity to develop that because I had to be in charge immediately. So I do definitely think that humility is important, but I also think confidence and a willingness to work, which is hard. Even like this, working out, like the willingness to sort of have sore legs and continue working out the next day.
Yeah. Or just having that ability to like want to motivate yourself to get up in the morning or do something, especially now in the times that we have, like a pandemic, where you maybe were used to a routine or going to a gym. And now, even though most people are like, oh, if I had this stuff at home, I would work out. Well, now you're home, you can't leave. And most people are like, you know what? I'm going to watch this show on Netflix versus working out, and that's what, at least some of the workouts that, I design for DeadBoys Fitness and especially now, is that we have a whole entire section where you could just do pretty much any of these workouts at home. And we want people to be motivated to work out, because it's not just about trying to look like, Bane from Batman. It's about trying to be healthy. And it's about,
that's
being
hard. That's so hard.
Yeah. Especially now, it's like trying to make good choices when you are sitting at the dinner table, and same thing with working out, like trying to, making sure that you can move fast and efficiently and not trying to hurt yourself too. So there's a lot of truth to that when it comes to really trying to motivate people, especially now, to exercise and be active, especially when everyone's saying stay inside, don't go outside.
Hashtag stay inside show.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because I started out, my sport of choice, my exercise of choice is boxing. I go to a boxing gym. Sometimes I take group classes.
Which, by the way, do you still have your Darth Vader gloves?
I do. I have those Darth Vader gloves. They are in my room on like a little display.
See?
I love those. Joshy G gifted me some official Darth Vader boxing gloves that I absolutely adore.
I just wanted to make sure that the Force was with you always. That's all.
Always.
Yeah.
But now I can't box the way I was before. So now I have to shift my focus, which has been some of these workouts, by the way, some of the Get Super workouts. If I need a fix and I only have 15 minutes, I will pull up one of your YouTube videos of Get Super, cut to the middle point where you start the workout, and just
not the interview. I'm just kidding.
I love the interviews, but sometimes I don't have time.
Yeah.
But I'll do these workouts and I really like them. I talk about them to other people. I'm like, if you don't have time and you want to get used to it and you don't have weights, check out Get Super. I actually am a fan of your show.
Oh, well, that's why you are on the season finale, friend. That's why.
Go on with that.
I'm just kidding. That's not why. Matzo Ball can't do burpees, so otherwise she'd be the star.
I can barely do burpees, so.
Before we get into the workout, just a one other topic that I know you and I have spoke about in studio is professional wrestling, both our love for the sport of professional wrestling, if you want to call it that. At what age did you start watching pro wrestling?
Geez, I was about probably 7, I would say, like very, very young, because it used to come on Saturday mornings after, after cartoons.
WWE Superstars, I believe.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess even maybe before that, because I watched Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that show.
So whatever year that cartoon came out, I guess I also watched. I had the thumb wrestlers. We didn't have the LJN, the big rubber LJN wrestlers, because they were a little pricier and they didn't do anything.
They were in a mold.
Yeah, you just
that was like how can you play with these guys?
Oh, this guy's flexing. That doesn't seem like a good wrestling move at all.
Yeah.
But I had all the Hasbro toys when I was a kid,
which was basically the same thing, but at least like they would do this, like
the Hasbro toys had actions to them. It's funny too, because I'm also a toy person, as you can tell by the fact that I immediately transitioned to toy stuff. But I mean, I have like mint on card Masters of the Universe toys just sitting behind.
Oh, don't even get me started. We're in the middle of moving, and I basically I don't have enough room in my new place, so I have a storage unit which looks like the warehouse in Indiana Jones, where they're just putting cards in, but it's just filled with treasures beyond belief. But yes, I also have the mint on card Masters of the Universe.
So I was a kid. I was a Hulkamaniac, total mark.
Oh,
I liked him at first.
Why Hogan?
Because I was young and dumb. I think it was just like you got sold. We got sold Hulk Hogan when we were kids.
Maybe I didn't. I hated him. I loathed him.
Maybe I didn't have anybody in my life that knew better to tell me. It's like, you don't want to like that guy. He doesn't even do anything. He just puts his leg up.
I think what it was just the fact that like he just never lost. And again, this goes back to my Superman comment. Not that I'm making fun of Superman at all. I was just like, oh, you just can't beat him, so he's not interesting. Same thing with Hogan. You couldn't beat him, so he's not interesting.
I literally just watched the Death of Superman cartoon yesterday, so I'm going to disagree that you can't beat Superman.
So eventually, I mean, I'm just saying that he was better as Hollywood Hogan. He was better as a bad guy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. See, because that was, I mean, I watched. You're looking at sort of. I watched during sort of that the Bronze Age, I guess you would say, starting with your mid to late 80s. So once you had, I immediately relate them to like comics eras. Yeah. So like once your Bruno Sammartinos and your Don Moroccos started to retire, and then you get into your Savages, your Steamboats, your Hogans, your $1 Million Mans. I liked gimmick wrestlers a lot.
Same.
It's actually one of the reasons I kind of fell out of wrestling is that everybody was just, and by the way, everybody is incredibly talented in wrestling. Yeah. Just the people that you have on, Becky and Seth and all them, they're these amazing talents that people with talent that is so rare. But there's something to me about like first name, last name versus first name, last name that I can't get into. Yeah. Like I want to see a garbage man beat up a clown. Like that's what I want out of wrestling, which is what I grew up with. And then the Attitude Era, which is just like, I want to see a bad guy fight a bad guy.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I appreciated that like late 90s or late 80s, early 90s era, the new generation, if they want to call it that, where they had the Doinks. To me, again, when Doink first came out, Doink is a clown, by the way, Paul, in case you don't know. He was an evil clown. And so he would come out, he would give a kid a balloon, and then he would take a thumbtack and pop the balloon in front of the kid. And then the kid would start crying. And to me, as a fan watching that, I'm like, oh my God, that is the greatest thing. He
savagely beat Crush with a fake arm. I remember that very specifically.
With a fake arm. I was there, by the way. Fake arm, and had a second Doink underneath the ring.
Oh, the double Doink. I remember that. So if we want to do the I Was There contest, I think I might have you beat.
Oh, yeah? Let's hear it.
I was at Survivor Series 1990.
Oh, I think I get where we're going with this.
If you know who debuted at Survivor Series 1990, you'd say, okay, well, it's hard to compete with that. But it was, of course, the Gobbledygooker. No, the Undertaker. I was at the Undertaker's premiere in the WWF or WWE now.
It's funny. I was like, oh, I don't remember his debut as much as I should. So I went back the other night and watched it, and it's great. I mean, he's just a young, ripped, giant human.
Yeah, he was a fascinating dude. That should have retired a while ago, but just that the addiction runs through the body, and it's so hard to leave. Athletes. it's hard as an athlete because I was a boxer in my late teens and early 20s. It was something that I did, and it's hard now to accept that I would never really be able to get into the ring again, because it's just you don't have what you used to have. You're not in your 20s anymore. So for him, I'm glad that he retired, and I wished it was earlier.
Yeah, you and me both. I think that he just kept searching for that perfect last match that maybe some guys get and some guys don't. And if you guys are interested, there's a documentary about this, and you just see like he just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. You're just like, come on, man, just stop.
That happened with in the UFC. I just watched a thing about Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, and that happened to him as well, where these warriors they want to be brought home on their shield. They want to get out in combat. But I've actually had some cool WWE and WCW interactions, things that I've been to, various Slamborees and Royal Rumbles, and I've been very lucky that I was around Boston and Worcester, Mass, where they would come in. One of my friends that I backyard wrestled with ended up in the WWE for a while, named Damian Sandow.
Oh, okay. I know him.
We wrestled in high school. We backyard wrestled in high school together. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
To see that happen. But yeah, like when I was a kid, I was also a very round child. I was a big boy, and I bought a Hulk Hogan tank top, like you do. At that Survivor Series in 1990. Fast forward 21 years later, I had my last fight in 2011, and I wore that tank top out to the crowd, and I ripped it off while wearing boxing gloves and threw it.
Wow. That's such a piece of Jeff May memorabilia. I'm surprised you'd want to destroy that and get rid of it.
I shouldn't have. I probably could have gotten a lot of money for that tank top.
Yeah.
It still fit me though, because I had leaned out. So when I bought it, I was a kind of a big chubby kid in 1990, and I filled it out. So when I was a much more svelte adult, it still fit me. I also bought a Big Boss Man nightstick, a foam.
The foam nightstick.
Nightstick. I bought that.
Yeah. One of the guests we had on our show earlier, Matt Cardona, he used to wrestle under the name Zack Ryder. He's a big wrestling action figure aficionado. He has every collection of every prototype, but he's now starting to collect the foam merch that they would sell. So like Hacksaw Jim Duggan's foam 2x4.
My brother bought that.
Like the foam fingers, the Austin middle finger, the Rocks thing,
the
like
Superfly, the foam Superfly, that
Superfly, the NWO 2 Sweet. I mean, he has them all.
Oof.
So
I had a friend. This is going to be really funny. I had a friend who we went to, I believe it was Slamboree in '98 in Boston. It was my friend Tim, and he was like wrestling obsessed, big NWO guy, big Outsiders fan. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, also known as Diesel and Razor Ramon. They were his favorite tag team. He bought a pennant. He bought, their shirt. He bought like all their merch when we went to this Slamboree, and at that Slamboree, they broke up.
Oh, really?
And we roasted him for the entire trip home. We're just like, how's that $140 worth of stuff for a team that doesn't exist going for you anymore?
Oh, and that's the thing with whether it's wrestling merch or Master of the Universe, which I'm obviously impartial to, G.I. Joes, Transformers, you name it, they're all coming back in a way where as an adult and you have adult money, you're like, oh my God, I want to go back and either rebuy all these things or all of the reissues. Like there's a new Ghostbusters one. Yes, I have that one too.
This is the, I believe, was it Mondo or Super 7?
Yeah.
They made a cartoon accurate Skeletor, and I just had to get it. That was actually when Sideshow was at Designer Con. It's when I got that.
Yeah, yeah. And
that's really was, yeah.
But you get where I'm coming from. Now that we're adults and we have adult money, it's like, oh, I want to go back and not just buy all these things, but collect everything.
Correction. I do not have adult money. I absolutely do not have adult money. No, I've got some cool stuff. If I pan up just a little bit, you can see I got my Darth Maul there, and then I have my giant like 2-foot IG-88. Then I have a Alex Ross Spider-Man bust. I have some classic Tick action figures there. I got some cool stuff that I've sort of accidented my way into.
Yeah, I have cool stuff too. It's not being displayed. I mean, the only cool thing I have I can display right now is matzo ball.
Look at that little matzo ball. What a precious bean.
There she is.
Yeah, I've found myself with some pretty interesting memorabilia and stuff. Comics. I don't know. There's a lot of it's unlicensed, so I have to keep it off camera. But for the most part, I've found myself with some pretty cool stuff.
Well, before we get into the workout, Paul, my good friend, Mr. Moderator, do we have any questions for Jeff, May, and or myself?
We do, yes. Actually, we have a couple here. I might save one of these for the end because it's a comic book question and what's your favorite. And I think between the two of you asking what's your favorite comic book, this is going to turn into a 6-hour show. But we do have a request for Jeff May. I think this has to do with some of your fans from over on the Tom and Jeff Watch Batman. They want to hear you cut a promo for Batman, but in the voice of Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul. I don't want to offend anyone.
You'll have to understand this, detective, that one day you step into the squared circle with me, and of course, if you beat me, you will be able to wed my daughter. Of course, she is waiting there as the prize, a championship belt, if you will, detective. But of course, you'll have to beat me. I have been wrestling for over 1,000 years. And of course, if you come into the squared circle, I have much training, and you will not escape, detective. You will not make it out. But if you do, of course, you will be able to wed my daughter.
That's a great promo.
That's awesome.
I like that the term squared circle. He just didn't say in the ring. He's so sophisticated that he wanted to use this one.
I keep kayfabe at all times, detective.
I'm sorry.
Whoever asked that, I applaud you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's we've got Andrew Howe and Kevin T over on YouTube had asked that.
Oh, well,
shout out to Andrew Howe. Check the mail soon, Andrew Howe, because you've got a hat coming your way.
Oh geez. All right, and then I think we also have the question that I think, because everyone can see the comics behind you, Jeff.
Yeah.
And I'm I don't think I know this question from either one of you. What is your favorite comic book? Maybe we should say series or run. Maybe that'll help a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
All right. Oh God, this is my workout. This right here is the X-Statix Omnibus. X-Statix is a series that was created by Peter Milligan and Mike Allred that was actually a sequel to X-Force. It actually started in X-Force issue number 116. If you're not familiar with Peter Milligan, he was a very big Vertigo writer, so he writes really weird stuff. And if you don't know Mike Allred, he's the creator of Madman. He does a lot of really cool, crisp lines, very sort of poppy. And what they were done is in the early 2000s, they sort of reinvigorated Marvel because Marvel was kind of in the tanks. And they brought this Vertigo writer and this indie artist onto an X book. And they created what I consider to be the greatest X book of all time.
Wow. That's a huge endorsement.
It's brilliant. It's also like if X-Men was an indie book, and it talks about sort of fame. They are celebrity superheroes. People die with alarming regularity in the book. It's really fascinating. One of the characters was actually in Deadpool 2, the character Zeitgeist. It's a book that I've sort of become obsessed with because it's so good. I had all the single issues, and then I bought the trades, and then I bought the omnibus. It's just that good. And then the other one that I'm really into is I don't want to reach over and I want to go out of camera, but Dan Slott and Mike Allred did a Silver Surfer run a couple years ago.
Oh, I think I remember that. You remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. Hold on. So here's the dust jacket for it. I actually have it out of the dust jacket because I'm currently rereading it.
I have the first book in that series.
Great.
Yeah, it's a fantastic book.
Yeah.
But that would say, if we're going Marvel, that would be, you know, like if you're going mainstream, it would probably be that. But I have like chunks of like, okay, do you want like a favorite indie book, Marvel, you know, licensed properties?
That was a great answer. I feel I'm like I like stuff, like is the wrong answer, but no, I mean, growing up, I've always been a huge Batman fan.
Right.
Love Batman. I think we talked about it a little bit on a previous show, Paul, like being able to search for separate issues of Nightfall with my little brother was always a huge memory of me.
Yeah.
I loved that series, and I just couldn't believe that somebody out there could defeat the Batman, and the fact that that happened in that story arc as a young adult kind of blew my mind. And then growing up, when I moved to LA, just kind of I had a resurgence in comic books. So there was like an arc of the Hulk that I really enjoyed. It was back 2003. He was kind of like on the run. He was on the lam.
It was the run by Bruce Jones was the writer of that.
Yeah. That one was great.
Those covers with Kari Andrews, when Kari Andrews was doing those covers, and they were like these homage covers, like the Rockwell homage. That's legitimately one of the best Hulk runs. You're 100% right. Like Boiling Points, I believe, was one of the names.
Yeah, but that Hulk run was great. I love the Superior Foes of Spider-Man. I don't know if you've ever read that. It's great.
That's written by Christos Gage, right?
I believe
Correct.
so.
It is, yeah.
Former guest of Sideshow, and former Worcesterite. Christos Gage. He used to come to the comic shop that I used to shop at back home, that I used to work at. It was called That's Entertainment. Wow. Back in Worcester. But yeah, no. So Christos is a good friend. I love that you write that. But he wrote the Spider-Man Marvel's Spider-Man
game, right?
Yeah, he's one of the writers.
Yeah, the game's great. But the Superior Foes, I just loved the fact that these supervillains were just bumbling idiots and would turn on each other at the turn of it. You know, it was great.
And before, I'm sorry, we get actually Superior Foes of Spider-Man is Nick Spencer and James Asmus.
Okay, I'm way off. Christos wrote Superior something else, and I apologize for that. And shout out to Nick Spencer because he's really good.
Maybe Superior Spider-Man? I don't know.
He wrote Superior Spider-Man. Yeah. So the Foes was a bit of a different run there.
And it was weird too, because I remember trying to go back and pick up when people would ask me, I would literally just go into the store and buy the 3 trades and give them as gifts, and they were always sold out, or they didn't reissue them, or I forget, whatever the case may be. So if you can find it out there, it's a great read, and it's super quick. I mean, it's only 3 books. It's really, really fun. I think one of the things that they're trying to heist is like Dr. Doom's like a photo of his face.
Oh,
yeah, his face.
Man, I'm like looking back, and I have so many different things that I could just be like, but also let me tell you about this. We'll tell you about this run of Daredevil right here.
It's like I when I was commenting on that question on YouTube, I was like, I hope you guys are ready for a 6-hour show, because this is what it really could turn into.
Way to go, fans. All right, is there one more question before I put Jeff through 6 minutes of burpees?
We do have one question. It's Norm from Cheers over on YouTube for Jeff. He said, "That's awesome. Where can I get one of those fancy hats you have?"
Oh, merch plug. What do you do? For all these questions there, Jeff?
Could you imagine if I just planted people to ask these questions? No, this was a trick. This hat was actually it's a funny backstory about this. Is because I used to wear a Boston Red Sox hat, which you can't wear that merchandise on camera if you're doing like a TV show or anything like that. You just can't. So I had gotten a pilot for a TV show that was going to be on Sci-Fi. And they were like, we like everything. We like your vibe. We like the kind of like bro-y hat vibe that you push forward, but we can't use that hat. Can you have a blank hat? And I said, well, what if you just make it an M for May, and then you just keep this sort of same design? And they were like, oh, okay. And then after we filmed, I stole that hat.
And now the rest is history.
I stole it, and then I went to a friend of mine who does like, you know, merch and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, can you recreate this? And he's like, absolutely, I can. So I just it's my throwaway merch. I buy like 40 of them at a time and just sell them over the course of a couple of months.
Oh, okay.
I own one, and they are very comfortable.
Merch is hard when you're a comedian because the only options are something that doesn't have my name officially on it, that's kind of in the know, or like comedians will sell these shirts that just have like one of their dumb punchlines across the chest, and then like probably like their website or something under it, and it seems so cheesy and tacky to me, even though like they make a ton of money off of it. Like I'm a person that puts integrity over paying my bills, which is probably a mistake.
Just go and steal a bunch of the best wrestling shirt ideas. Just be like, MWO, May World Order, or something like that.
There are designer. It's funny because there are designers that are Sideshow adjacent that are working that have been like, oh, I'll do a thing. Like where it's I know that before comedy became like weird and illegal because you can't go out. I was working on developing my album, and the cover of the album was going to be by somebody who does really amazing prints with Sideshow.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Jeff, so it's gonna be you. Just like I'm just picturing your album cover. It's you, boxing gloves, Hulkamania shirt. You're ripping.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
that's me. Just ripping them off. So hey, you wanna go ruin my day?
Sure, I could definitely do that. It's funny because you can go ahead and get ready if you'd like. I was gonna make Jeff do 8 minutes of burpees, which is an actual workout, but I've decided against it because I figured I wanted to have the season finale end with the bang. But we're gonna do what's called an ascending ladder. So it will be an 8-minute workout. If you are in the healthier range or you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can do this workout and have the clock be 10 or 12 minutes. But we're just gonna do 8 minutes. So 8 minutes of working out. That consists of 1 burpee. You're going to do 1 set of lunges, so left and right equals 1, and then you're going to do 1 what's called plank to elbow. So you'll start in a plank, you'll lower yourself down to your elbows, and then back up to a plank. That will be 1 round. Then you're going to add a rep for the next round. So you'll do 2 burpees, you'll do 2 lunges, 4 total, and then you're going to do, oh, look at you. So sophisticated, camera 1, camera 2. And then you're going to do 2 plank to elbows. Then the next round, you'll do 3. So 3 burpees, 3 lunges, or 6 lunges total, and then 3 plank to elbow. And notice, as you can see, as the clock goes, you're adding a rep each round. Does that make sense to you, Jeff, or should I explain it one more time?
It sounds awful. It sounds absolutely awful, Joshy G. So I'm doing an ascending ladder. That's what you said.
Yep.
And it's going to be
an
burpees.
8-minute clock, yes. One burpee.
Mm-hmm.
1 set of lunges, so left and right equals 1.
Okay.
And 1 plank to elbow. So you're going to get to the top of your plank, and I'm going to do some of these with you. You're going to lower yourself down to your elbow. You're going to push yourself back up. That's 1 rep.
Got it. I hate you.
Yes, I know you do. And you're going to do that for 8 minutes total. Now, the goal hopefully is to not stop while doing this, but if you are at home and you need to stop for whatever reason, let's say you have a big bulldog trying to jump into the equation, then yes, you can stop. But the goal is to work hard for 8 minutes. If you're in the intermediate to advanced category, I would say make this a 10-minute workout. And if you are in the advanced category, I would make it a 12-minute workout. Right, Matzo Ball? Okay. Well, she's ready. Jeff, are you ready?
No, but yes, but no.
Do you need any tips and tricks? I heard you say you hate burpees. Do you need a tip or trick on a burpee?
Yeah, how do I get out of doing burpees?
You don't get out of doing it.
Okay. Great.
All right. Well, I'm going to move my camera here, get you all set up. Paul, any questions? Feel free to ask us questions. I'll answer them during the workout, okay?
Sure do. Yeah.
All right.
Do, sir.
8 minutes on the clock. Jeff, we are starting in 10 seconds.
Thought we were cool, Josh.
We are. In 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, look at that burpee.
Look at Jeff leaping over there.
Okay, and then I go what? Plank to elbow?
Yep, and then right back to plank.
I'll take my time.
That's 1. matzo balls in the mix now.
Am I done? Am I done now?
Nope. Now you gotta go 2, brother. 2.
Oh man, I hate Josh.
I like the matzo balls just looking at me like I'm a big idiot.
Well, we have a cat here that hates me, so it's fine. Hi, Matzo. Paul, are you doing the workout right now?
Yep. You just can't see me.
Good. I need to know.
I'm also suffering.
Yes, I need to know that you're suffering.
Well, the good news is we have 7 minutes to go.
Oh, I thought this was like 9 minutes in already.
Nope.
Why did I agree to this? See, the thing is, Josh does this for like people that are true athletes, you know?
I mean, I would like to think that we're all true athletes, right?
No. I get it. It's fine. But also, you know, everyone else you have on is like physical perfection. And I'm sitting here being like, I wonder if I'll die today.
Paul, did you hear that? You are physical perfection, my friend.
Oh, hey, thanks.
Oh, I've seen Paul. He is cut.
Who knew?
Well, I'm about to start my 4th round or 4 burpee. Is that where you're at, Jeff?
I'm starting my 4th. Wishing I brought my water glass in here.
All right. Well, we got 5.5 minutes left. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
Yeah, I actually have a question from a super fan of Get Super. It's me. I was curious, as I think there's a large population of people that think you have to be in the gym and work out for an hour and a half. Over at DeadBoys Fitness, I think you guys kind of don't believe in that particular ideal. So what would you say is the benefit of doing some of these quick hit workouts?
I would like to think that the benefit is you really feel that the quick, fast workouts really affect you in a way where they spike your heart rate up, they get you moving, and you don't have to spend a lot of time in the gym or, in your garage or wherever it is that you're trying to work out. The goal of these is to move fast and efficiently and get that heart rate moving for an extended period of time. Most of the time when people are in a gym or in their garage, they're wasting time. They're not spiking their heart rate up. They're not getting things moving. They're kind of really playing on the phone or whatever the case may be. So again, these are trying to spark that heart rate, get you into that either anaerobic or aerobic capacity, and to really focus on to help you get healthy and really get your body moving versus just kind of dilly-dallying and standing around and not really challenging yourself, if that makes any sense.
I thought it was to make your friends miserable.
Well, that too, which by the way, we are halfway through. We have 4 minutes left.
Only halfway through?
Halfway, buddy.
Thought we were cool, dude.
You're getting a lot of love, Joshy, for good old matzo ball there. From
matzo ball star.
Prox and Joanna over on Twitch saying that the dog is adorable.
Again, if we were smart, Jeff May, we would make matzo ball merch because that's the stuff that's going to sell. It ain't going to be a Joshy G t-shirt or a Jeff May hat. I'll tell you that.
I got a matzo ball hat, man. That's what the M stands for.
Jeff, you're getting some love over on YouTube saying that you, sir, are doing really well and you are a machine.
I mean, I don't want to embarrass myself more than I normally do.
Well, speaking of the devil, matzo ball's back. I am about to start round number 5. Are you already through 5, Jeff?
I'm finishing 6.
Oh, see? Paul, you're distracting me while Jeff May is destroying me. Look at those guns. Look at those guns.
No, you're just... I'm sorry, Wolves.
And for everyone that is watching, whether you're watching on Twitch, whether you're watching on Instagram, we are live with Get Super on the season finale. We've got Joshy G here and Jeff May. For some reason, doing some form of physical activity, but you know,
I hate it.
there's comics to be read, and yet they're working out.
Yeah. We like to let people know that you could be physically fit, still read comics, still love figures, still love pop culture.
This workout that Joshy G and DeadBoys Fitness have put together is only an 8-minute workout, which is about the same time that I think it takes to get through a Grant Morrison panel. So, you know, a really good Grant Morrison panel. So if you can get through one Grant Morrison panel, you can get through this workout, guys.
Yeah, and again, there's different levels. So if you are pretty advanced, if you can move fast, this workout is grueling. Starts off with 1 burpee, followed by 1 set of lunges, and then plank to elbow, and then back up. You'll then go 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, all the way up until time expires. 90 seconds left, Jeff.
How much?
90 seconds.
Oh, man.
And someone, Paul Nevis said, boom, roasted Grant Morrison. That was actually a compliment to Grant Morrison. His writing is just much smarter than me. I promise. But it reminds...
Paul, how many times have you had to reread We 3 to understand?
About more than 3 times, that's for sure. And also everyone over on YouTube, just a reminder, please go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. We, especially with Sideshow Con coming up, we have a lot of stuff that you guys are not going to want to miss. So go ahead and subscribe and click the bell for notifications.
Can't do burpees now because all Matsumoto wants to do is play.
Don't worry, I'll do them.
There we go.
Man.
30 seconds.
I lost count.
15 seconds. Three, 2, 1, time.
That's not fair, man. Whew. You said that was the beginner. That was the beginner level, right?
Yeah. That was 8-minute version.
Oh, geez. Well, if I can do it, you all can do it.
Yeah, that's not an easy workout to do, much less cold, not really warming up. Make sure you guys warm up too before you do something like that.
Yeah, thanks for that information, Josh.
Paul, any more questions for me and the one and only Jeff May?
We do have some people that said, you know what, just to compensate for, we had Nolan Martin over on YouTube say that Matten, I'm sorry, say we should double Jeff's workout to compensate because he didn't follow Joshy G's form.
Yeah,
I think Jeff had great form, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think he did great. He flew through those things. I had a big distraction, a 65-pound ball of muscle trying to hump me when I was doing burpees. So
same.
We actually we do have a pretty cool question, I think, over on Twitch from Prox. This is for Jeff. It's about Prox. It appears earlier in the chat had mentioned that he or she was an amateur boxer growing up as well.
Oh wow!
And so he or she wanted to know, can you ask Jeff about the first time that he ran out of gas while sparring or fighting, and how helpless you feel, and you feel like you're being taken into deep waters?
It's it's funny too, because 14 or 16 ounces does not sound like a lot of weight until you're throwing it over in front of your face 120 times in 3 minutes. It's funny. The first time I was really gassed, was during exercise. I was on a team. I was on a what do we call it there? boxing college team. Sorry, I'm turning down my volume on my phone so it doesn't go in. So that being said, I would get gassed, but I was stronger than everybody on my team. But when I fought in the Golden Gloves, my nose broke real bad.
Oh,
yeah, I turned into a hook. It still is. My septum is in the side of my nose, so I have a hard time breathing. Like that's what it's like all the time.
Yeah.
But I would have won, except there's this kind of thing you have to have as a boxer where you have to try to like chase someone down and try to kill them, and then have a guy in a tie tell you to cut it out, you know? And I never had that chase. So I was a one-punch knockout guy. Like I won by knockouts. I never won by TKO. Because taking advantage of somebody hurt was just not in my veins, I guess. Yeah. But I lost 60 pounds in 3 months.
Whoa.
Yeah, man, it just melts off you when you're like, oh, I think I'm going to eat well and actually exercise.
Drink water. What's this water that everyone's talking about?
This isn't Dr. Pepper. What's in here?
It's Dr. Pepper Clear.
No, it was funny. I went away because I had transferred colleges twice. And I went away for a semester to a place called Westfield State College. And that's where I took up boxing. And I went in very heavy. I went in about 265 pounds. And then by the time I weighed myself in for the Golden Gloves in January, I was 197.
That's quite a weight drop, bud.
It was a drop. It was like drastically different. Like my world sort of changed at that point in time. Because I'd also cultivated my nerd personality already. So my magazine subscriptions were Men's Health and Wizard Magazine.
I think that was mine, except I also had maybe Toy Fair in there as well.
Oh, I got Toy Fair too, and Inquest actually, because I was a big card game guy. Scry, actually, I didn't do Inquest. I did Scry.
Well, we only have 4 minutes left, and I always ask this question, and I haven't asked you yet. If you were to book your pop culture main event at WrestleMania, so it could be anything. Usually, I give the example of like the Hulk versus Superman in a Iron Man match, or as Paul so eloquently put it, Adam versus Ant-Man in a Hell in a Cell, an actual cell. They shrank down to an actual cell. What would your pop culture main event be, and why?
How about this? Ready? Iron Man and Captain America, but the loser gets arrested. What was that? Oh, they did that already.
Yeah, they already did.
I might actually want to revisit some of the old Marvel versus DC stuff from 1996, the Peter David and Ron Mars written stuff. I'd like to see Batman and Cap.
Oh, was that one? Or for some reason I thought it was Batman versus Wolverine. Did that not happen?
No, Wolverine versus Lobo.
Oh, that's right, Lobo.
Yes. And it was just drawn off screen. They had a bar fight. I would probably do Batman versus Cap. I'll do the whole Dream Team if you want. I would have it written by Brian K. Vaughan.
But what's the stipulation? Is there a stipulation, or is it just straight up?
This is a Falls Count Anywhere match.
Ooh, okay.
This is a hardcore Extreme Rules Falls Count Anywhere 24/7 match.
Wow.
Did that cover? Because I think that's what you would need for those two. You couldn't put them in a cell. Like if you put Batman in a Hell in a Cell, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
But Batman versus Cap, where you can use the world around you, I would pick that. I would have Brian K. Vaughan write it. I would have Art Adams draw it, probably. Dexter Vines, the inker. Laura Martin is the colorist. Chris Eliopoulos is the letterer. Is that enough? Is that good?
Well, I think that is about as in-depth as anybody has gotten when it comes to my pop culture WrestleMania main event.
You went down to the letterer.
Yeah, you went down to the lettering. So I appreciate that. Well, Paul, are there any more questions?
I think, we got a lot of love here for both of your guys' workouts and saying that this was a real good one. You had some people over on YouTube and Twitch doing the workout as well. But I think that'll about do it for the questions today with only a couple minutes left. I
appreciate it, guys, for you guys doing the workouts at home. Thank you so much for joining us. You have been an amazing audience. Thank you, Mr. Jeff May, for doing all those burpees. You're lucky you didn't have 8 minutes of burpees, because I really thought about it. Seriously. I
would have just bailed. Yeah. It's not worth it. Thank you so much for motivating me. I've never been more motivated in a workout than when I know several hundred people are watching it.
Well, I'm glad. And not only that, but this will probably repeat as well. So more people are probably going to watch it at the end of the day. For those that are interested in entering any of our giveaways each and every week, we have our Let Your Geek Sideshow Facebook group. Stay in Sideshow challenge going on right now. This group is awesome. It's fun. It's a welcoming community with tons of Sideshow exclusives and giveaways. I love seeing people's displays in this group. It always makes me very envious. Tomorrow we start our treasure hunt challenge at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You draw a map to lead us to where you would bury your most treasured collectible for a chance to win the Thanos Deluxe by Iron Studios. This contest is open until next Tuesday, July 7th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Paul, aka Pop, will drop a link into the Facebook chat right now.
Papa Paul.
And don't forget to pre-register in case you didn't check out that amazing reveal from myself and Paul. Don't forget to pre-register for Sideshow Con. It's free. You get access to special giveaways, sneak peeks, swag, rewards, and so on. Sideshow Con will be the week of July 20th through the 26th with an actual booth. Paul will drop the link right now for side.show/con. Again, this is the last season of Get Super with Joshy G. However, as I said, this show is so good, it got renewed for a second season. Thank you to all the higher-ups at Sideshow for renewing my season. So you will get more Get Super in the future. Thank you for being with us. And don't forget to let your geek side show. See you soon.
Hey, did you like that video? Be sure to subscribe by clicking the S icon on your screen and click that bell icon to be notified whenever a new video is posted. If you'd like more info on the items featured in this video, click the link provided under Product Info. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to let your geek side show.